our crappy culture. Did we write that music or? No, it's just founded on the.
I know it's your favorite style of music.
God, it's awful. So I have to tell you what. I was in New York over the weekend, and on Friday morning, I was in the hotel gym on the elliptical machine, which is one of my. I take hikes all the time because to avoid the gym. I hate being on the elliptical machine. I find it excruciatingly boring. But usually I can find some really, there are two shows that actually make the elliptical machine time pass. One is Law and Order, which is like this magic show for just sucking time out of the air. I don't know why it works so well. And the other is Blue Bloods, which is kind of dopey, but it's sentimental and conservative, and I like it, and it just makes the time pass. But I decided, you know what? It's Friday morning. I ought to catch up with the news. I'm going to watch cable news. So I'm switching between Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and for a little bit I visited CBS, I think it was, one of the networks. So on Fox News, they're talking about the London bombing, right? They just put off this London bomb. They have an expert on, one of these former guys. There's all these guys, former, Navy SEAL or whatever he was. He was a former security guy. And he starts talking about how with just, I won't tell you what he said exactly, but he starts saying, just a little bit of simple work and some really easy to get things. This guy could have made a much more dangerous bomb. Much more. And he could have killed dozens of people. He's talking about, and he tells you how to do it. He tells you, I'm sitting there watching this and I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? And nobody's cutting this guy off and saying, don't explain. I mean, it was so simple that anybody could have done it. And I just thought, unbelievable. So I switch over to CNN. And on CNN, the anchor woman, I couldn't, all those anchor women look exactly alike to me on CNN. And I cannot remember which one it was, but she's explaining how Antifa is good because they're anti-fascist. No, they're anti-fascist. And I'm thinking, when you put on a mask and you beat people up for their opinions, you're not anti-fascist. Now, look, you can have a debate. You can have an interesting conversation. Is white supremacy worse than Antifa, whatever you want, which is more dangerous? All kinds of things you can talk about. But she's explaining like it's so simple. But they're anti-fascist, so they're good, And I thought, all right. So I turn over to MSNBC, and MSNBC, the Joe Scarborough show was on, Morning Joe. And they have the editor of the new anti-Trump, of the Atlantic Monthly, and they're promoting the Atlantic Monthly's new anti-Trump issue. So it's got, stories, will American democracy recover? The sudden decline of a superpower, the whitest White House, all this stuff, anti-Trump. And the guy says to him, there's a quote in this month's issue that says this, and this. And the guy, I guess his name is Jeffrey Goldberg, I want to say is the editor. And he says, well, which article was that in? And the guy interviewing him says, well, what it says was this, and this. And he says, yeah, but we got articles by Ta-Nehisi Coates. We got articles by all these different people. Which article? I can't respond because you're not telling me which articles. Interviewer had no idea. He just had a card with a quote in it. He's asking this guy an opinion. Now, I don't expect him to read the entire magazine, but at least he could. No, so now I turn on CBS, and I think it's CBS, and on CBS there's a beautiful anchor woman in New York and a beautiful anchor woman in Washington. What they're talking about is, wow, you look great in that yellow dress, really, because your red is just perfect. And I'm thinking, we are drowning in stupid. I mean, I don't watch a lot of this stuff. I watch it enough to keep up with the news. I try to keep up with everything and I try to know stuff, but I try to read a lot because there's information. I can judge it better. We are awash in stupid. It was like a sewage line had broken, a line in the sewer had broken and flooded the airways with sewage. I mean, and I'm talking about this is every point in the spectrum, right? This is it's not, it's Fox and everybody else, but all of them. I just thought really, and look, some days there's not that much news and some days you got to talk about stuff, but why not talk about stuff that's educational? Why not actually educate people about what's going on instead of talking about, well, I guess Fox was educating people on how to make a really dangerous bomb in case they wanted to blow up the subway. There's a new poll from the University of Pennsylvania's Annenberg Public Policy Center says people know shockingly little about the most basic elements of our government and the Constitution, okay? More than 1 in 3 people, 37%, could not name a single right protected by the First Amendment. Okay, freedom of speech, freedom of worship, all that stuff. couldn't name a single right. 37%, right? Only 1 in 4 people, 26%, can name all 3 branches of the government. Only 1 in 4 people. I mean, this was the stuff they taught us in elementary school, right? This is our civics lesson. 1 in 4 people can name all 3 branches. 1 in 3 people can't name any branch of government. 33% can't name any branch in government. A majority, 53%, believe the Constitution affords undocumented immigrants no rights whatsoever. Of course, everybody who's on U.S. soil is entitled to due process of law and the right to make their case in the courts and all that stuff. I mean, it's like all that airtime, all that time to talk, and nobody's telling you about the branches of government. Nobody's telling you anything. They can't take all that time instead of sitting around and discussing a quote in a magazine you haven't even read or talking about what color dress you're wearing. They can't take any time to educate Americans. And certainly some of this has been done on purpose. I mean, I feel so strongly that our young people, and not just young people, because some of these newsmen, some of these people who are anchoring CNN, anchoring Fox News, anchoring these places, some of them are victims of this. They have been purposely denied their heritage, purposely denied being taught about this in order to have these people teach them that Black Lives Matter and this is, and gay rights and all this stuff that they could conclusions they could come to by themselves or not if they had some information and some facts. Megan Fox, who writes over where I write too at PJ Media, she writes this piece about a sign that is now appearing in many restaurants. Do we have a picture of the sign? There it is. Okay. I'll read it to you in case you're right. It says, hate has no business here. So this is in a storefront window. All, it says, are welcome here. We respect women. We value Black lives. We stand with our LGBT community members. We stand with immigrants and refugees and people of all faiths. We stand with our community. All are welcome here. And there's a rainbow heart, okay? So Megan Fox writes, let me interpret that sign for you, you low IQ dunce. These signs are to let you know, you hateful lover of law and order and restraint and decorum, that you are not welcome here. Contrary to all are welcome, you will notice that one group is decidedly missing. It's you. You think abortion is murder, so you don't stand with women, even though half of those babies being killed are girls. You favor legal immigration, so you don't stand with immigrants, which means allowing anyone, including ISIS, to just sally over the border willy-nilly as they please. You believe in traditional marriage and that children should not be denied a mother and father, and so you do not stand with the LGBT community. I mean, the reason this is stupid is this. It fails to distinguish different kinds of issues, okay? There's an issue of racism. This is a real issue. People are racist. We've had a history of racism against Black people, specifically in this country. That's a real issue. As I've said a million times on this podcast, it's a sin against God. We are made in the image of God. You don't like the way people are made. You are spitting in the face of God. You are literally spitting, not literally, you're figuratively spitting in the face of God. So that's one issue, okay? Gay issues, on which I'm kind of liberal, on which I'm a liberal, that's a different issue. That's something people do. It's not about your feelings. It's not about who you desire. It's something people do. That you can have a debate. Is what you're doing wrong? Is what you're doing right? Is what you're doing nobody's business? Is what you're doing somebody's business? That's a debate. It is not, there are not two sides, gay marriage and hate. That there are two sides that can be argued there because you're talking about an action. An action can be judged, right? If I punch you in the head, that's an action that can be judged. I can't be judged for having black skin or white skin. That's absurd, but you can judge a person's actions. Finally, we stand with people of all faiths. Well, I'm not sure I stand with people of all faiths. I stand with all people who worship God peacefully, of course, but that some tenets of religions are wrong. Some tenets of religions are bad. Some tenets of religion are toxic, and some are just in conflict with other values. And we can discuss that. We can talk about that. We can't do it from a position of hate. It's not a question of like throwing a grenade into your mosque or temple or church. It's a question of discussing these things. These are all different kinds of issues that have been blended together to make you stupid. They are trying to make you stupid so that they can take power. We are awash in stupid, and that is our crappy culture. I want to see the crappy culture again. Hear that beautiful music. That's it. Hey, hey! And I'll be humming that tune all day. All right.